Matt Lenihan for Boxing Social, in association with William Hill and Empire Fight Store. Delighted to be joined by one of the best analysts now in the game, in Paulie Malignaggi. Paulie, how's things? It's a big fight week here in Manchester. You looking forward to it?
Yeah, you're starting to feel the energy from the press conferences and whatnot, the undercard press conference, the main event press conference. So you're starting to feel and build that energy up, so it's getting fun.
You've been around a lot of fight weeks, been involved in a lot of fight weeks. What do you make of this rematch? We saw what happened in the first fight. A lot of things have changed in this rematch. Chris has gone to a new trainer in Bomac. What's your feeling surrounding this event, and do you think there can be a different outcome?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, I think the first time around we were trying to figure out how Smith had to change, right? I mean, that was sort of everybody's impression going in. It's maybe Smith was a little bit past it, and Eubank was getting him at a time where he could sort of use him as a resume builder to kind of, as an ex-world champion, beat an ex-world champion and use him as a resume builder. Also, it was a big domestic clash, and everybody was wrong, right? So I think now it seems like, to me, as I'm coming from the outside looking in, it seems like the question is, how does Eubank have a chance? And it's so weird because it was literally just one round last fight that ended the fight. But for me, Eubank was doing well before that. You know, Eubank was fighting very well until the round where the fight ended. So, I mean, is there a lot of adjustments Eubank needs to make, or does it just need to be a little bit more disciplined? Does he just need to be disciplined and consistent? Hey, Bomac, what's up, champ? How are you doing, man? You good? Yeah, I'm here, man. I got here yesterday. Yeah. Good to see you, Bo. Yeah, so I mean, and that's sort of my question is, do the adjustments need to be made by Eubank, or do the adjustments need to be made by Smith? Eubank was doing good until the fight ended. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's up to Smith. I mean, I don't want to say Smith got lucky because that would be a little bit harsh, right? But Smith got the KO in round 4, but for the most part, Smith was being beaten. So now that we're starting over, and both guys are full of energy, and both guys are ready to go, and both guys are not hurt, can Smith depend on landing a big shot or having a big moment to end the fight again against a guy who's shown himself to have a very good chin throughout his career and was pretty much winning the fight rather easily before that? I mean, I don't know. That's sort of my take. The adjustments, I don't think need to be made as much by Eubank as they do by Smith. I mean, Smith gets the credit for a terrific win, and he's had a terrific career. But are we looking for Smith to now just piggyback off of that knockout when nothing prior to that knockout had looked good for him in the fight? That's why we're having the rematch, man. I mean, in all honesty, it's not that easy of a fight to call when you start considering everything.
Right, I want to move on from this fight week now and just quickly talk about Oleksandr Usyk. Obviously, last week he got the victory over Daniel Dubois. God willing, fingers crossed, we're going to see Undisputed at some point, and we see Tyson Fury and Oleksandr Usyk. After watching his performance against the Daniel Dubois, what's your opinion on an Usyk-Tyson Fury matchup? What's your opinion? Has it changed your mind? Have seen Usyk more regularly fighting? What's your opinion on that fight?
I mean, I don't think Usyk and Fury would be fighting in a rain-soaked ring. So I mean, I don't even think you can take anything out of that fight. A rain-soaked ring is completely. I mean, it goes to show you how. It's one of those things, you know, where you say like you have to have done it to understand, and then people get mad at you. Understanding what it's like to box in a wet ring, you first have to understand how to box, which a lot of people don't, and then you have to understand how to box in a wet ring, which almost nobody knows, including a lot of boxers. So I've trained in wing rings that were at times wet. It completely changes everything. So the way you're going to judge Usyk based on fighting in a wet ring, which was a joke that they had the ring not protected like that. I mean, there's nothing really you can take out of the fight. I mean, do I think the low blow was a body shot? Yeah, I thought it was a legit body shot. But I also think that without the wet ring, Usyk is probably not in a position to get hit with that body shot. So you know, it's a double negative here. And then in the end, I think Dubois quit anyway. So, I mean, I don't think it has any effect on my opinion of Fury and Usyk. As a matter of fact, I always was picking Fury to probably beat Usyk. I think he's too big. But nothing I saw last week makes me, you know, adjust anything.
Right, final one from me. Anthony Joshua's performance against Robert Helenius. Originally fighting Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte gets adverse finding, gets replaced by Robert Helenius. Robert Helenius, adverse finding. Alicia Baumgarten more recently. We're seeing more frequently now these fighters getting an adverse finding or failed test. I know you've been a big advocate for what's been going on in this sport for a long time, but at what point is this sport, before we have a tragedy, going to wake up and go, what's going on?
I don't know. Does Hellenius owe Dillian White some money? Because Dillian White wasn't allowed to fight because of an adverse finding, and then Hellenius fights and then has an adverse finding anyway. I think Hellenius should have to split his money with Dillian White. But having said that, I mean, we're just having the same conversation over and over again. Nobody actually cares to actually change the sport. They make us talk about it so that, you know, the fans can sort of put their arms up in the air. But the people who are in charge of the sport, they don't actually want to change the sport. They don't care about making it safer. And no, nobody's going to care. And honestly, most guys, the drug testing is so little, it's so irrelevant that it's almost impossible to catch guys anyway. So when you talk about that we have a tragedy, we probably already have had a tragedy because of this. It just guys didn't fail the drug tests. So, I mean, it really doesn't matter.
How can we change it? Is there enough money in the sport to invest in it so that we can make a change, like a big difference? Because testing costs money, we all get that. So how can it be done? Or do we do harsher bans, 10-year bans? How do we do it?
I think there's enough money in the sport. The people who have the money in the sport don't want it to change, though, because, you know, having guys on PEDs allows for more record-breaking performances. Also, it allows your star to extend his career, his or her career, because now, you know, you're noticing guys fighting into their 40s when that was always unheard of back in the day, you know. So you have a guy who has a star, and then you've created a big name for him, and he becomes a bona fide star. Now, the longer that's from that moment on, as long as he's fighting, or he or she is fighting as a star, there's more money for everybody. So the longer you can extend that, the more money there is for everybody. So PEDs will do that for you. So I don't know. There is money in the sport. The people with the money will never, ever change that, because it actually benefits them in their pockets and it lines their pockets. So that's why this conversation we're having is a waste of time anyway.
Paulie, look, appreciate your time. Thanks for talking to Boxing Social. Hopefully we can catch up after the fight.